Martin O'Neill, and here he is. Good to see you, Martin.
Good evening.
Looking really well.
Thank you very much indeed, and so are you.
Thank you very much. I like this already. What did you make of the start of the season? Any surprises for you?
Right, it's been pretty exciting. You start on Friday night with Liverpool, getting a couple of late goals. Obviously, very an emotional occasion as well too, with Jota, and and Sunderland. Essentially, you would think almost a new team, which was good news because I didn't think the side that got promotion would stand a chance of staying up. But fantastic result for them as well too. So exciting, I must admit, and plenty to look forward to. Yeah,
there is plenty to look forward to. We are going to get to you in just a moment. We're going to have a very busy show, though. Let's get to one of the biggest names in the league right now. Virgil van Dijk remains a key figure at Liverpool after extending his contract earlier this year. Now he's hit a special landmark of 10 years in the Premier League. He sat down with Sky Sport reporter Patrick Davison to discuss his decade at the top.
So, Virgil, I know you didn't know this because you asked me about it off camera, but a decade now in the Premier League. When you heard that, surprised?
Not surprised, but it sounds
flown by.
Yeah, it's nice. 10 years. Longevity, I just mentioned. Yeah, it's nice. Proud. Listen, it's the league, in my opinion, everyone wants to be part of. And to be playing in it for 10 years, it's incredible.
You're playing for a massive club in Celtic, and then you cross the border to come and play in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Do you remember what your hopes and expectations were? My
hopes were to perform in the best way possible, and I think the first season I came to Southampton was an amazing time, by the way. We had a record-breaking season. Under, obviously, Ronald Koeman, who obviously gave me the opportunity to come play in the Premier League, that I will always be grateful for. We had an amazing season, and for me to be... I remember my debut, of course, against West Brom away, coming out and being in the lineup, hearing the Premier League tune, keeping a clean sheet. These things, I will never forget. It was such a special moment, and I felt like a little kid after the game because of you see the games, and now you're playing in the Premier League yourself, and you work so hard to be there. And obviously doing that at Southampton was incredible. I had 2 amazing years, and I really 2 even longer, by the way. But I really enjoyed it.
It's not just that you made it to the Premier League, and I'm not just saying it to grovel because you sat here. You're now Liverpool captain. You're a multiple Premier League winner, Champions League winner, and it seems like they weren't really even ambitions for you. They weren't really on your radar.
No, I think they were too far to think about. And I think what I said already in the start, for me this has helped to don't go too far with your dreams. But listen, I can't lie. When I joined Liverpool, I would have loved to be, achieving what I've achieved up until now. Being the captain, being the first Dutch captain lifting the Premier League, winning the Champions League, the cup competitions that we have won. So, it's about, for me, that it helped me getting to where I am today, and having people speak about me in a positive way is obviously always a good thing. And that's that's what we have to focus on.
Who are the guys who pass on the values, who kind of make it really clear to you what it is to be a Liverpool player?
Well, Jordan Henderson and James Milner. Obviously, I became 3rd captain after 6 months at the club, what was obviously such a massive honor already. But then to pick up so many things, and I'm an observer. I observe everything. I listen. I collect a lot of information and never forget things. But in this case, in terms of the values and what is asked to be a Liverpool player, what is asked to be representing the club, not only here, not only in the UK, but around the world, that's very important, and that's what we try to keep. And I think the guys have been doing it over the years pretty well, and keep going.
Does it feel like strange in a way, it's all these years later, and you're the guy who instills the values?
Well, this feels very natural. It feels very natural. I think for me, even maybe the year after I joined the club, I already felt like, doing that. In the end of the day, it's all about how you operate yourself, because people are looking at you, and players are looking, maybe that will eventually join the club, looking at how we operate anyway. So it's like, it felt very normal, but I know what you mean in terms of now being sort of the Jordan Henderson at the time. But it's something that is also a special thing that not many players have to think about doing. And I feel like it feels natural for me to do so. Obviously, as the captain of Liverpool, you're dealing with a lot more things than people see. That's something I really am proud of doing and be part of.
What do those guys come to mean to you when you're fighting together, winning together? We've talked earlier, like you criticise together. Then there must be a bond.
Well, listen, it's like a brotherhood, isn't it? So it's like for me personally, I feel that responsibility for everyone. Like if I feel like anyone's down or anyone's getting criticised more or whatever, I feel responsible, for that. I feel that, it hurts me as well. And we do everything in our power to perform. No one wants to not perform, but we are human beings. And that's the fact that I'm also looking at. But also then it comes back to the fact that I'm not doing it on my own. I have a little team around me with Robbo, obviously Mo, Ali, Joe, that are the senior guys that have been at the club for many years as well, and they also have to do that job, and they're doing that as well. So that's a good thing.
Is this summer? Does this feel like the biggest change you've known in terms of obviously you lost?
Last year was quite a big change. I think people underestimate it now a little bit because we won the league, but changing a manager that has been so important over all those years, not only for the team, for the club, but for the city as well. Having the success that we had, having the impact that he had on the league, and then to replace him was a big change. But now we're not talking about it. That's how obviously the world works a little bit, because we were obviously we are the Premier League winners from last year. But it's all about the signings, performing, and they all know that. They all know when they join a club like Liverpool, the reigning champions, that they have to perform, and it's down to them, but also us as a team, in order to create a environment that they can do so.
Great interview there. I'm pleased to say the man who spoke to Van Dijk, our reporter Patrick Davison, is going to join me in the studio at around 5:30 to give us his special insight on the start of the new season and much more as well. But before that, Martin, let's talk about Virgil van Dijk, because he has been at the top of his game for 10 years, fighting in the toughest league on the planet. What do you make of him?
Well, he's been a fantastic centre-back. There's no question about it. Funnily enough, I've always felt that not all players get the history of a football club, particularly one as great. I always get the impression from him, I don't know this for certain, that he does know this. And it was really interesting when they collected the Premier League title last year, the massive big cup, and it was presented at that time by Alan Hansen. You felt his bond with Hansen, even if it was only for about 10 seconds, I thought was really, really something special. Because Hansen is sensational centre-back, as was Mark Lawrenson, so he is following in the tradition of great centre-backs at Liverpool.
Yeah, and the fact that he's been at the top of his game as well, he came from Southampton, didn't he? And they wanted him, they were so desperate to get hold of him, and it really paid off. He's been so instrumental for Liverpool, hasn't he, over those last 10 years?
Well, he has, in many aspects, he kind of reminds me of Hansen, and he strolls through games. He absolutely strolls, and you feel as if he's always he's in second gear, and at some stage, that he's going to actually burst out into something. But he has that. But as you say, to have done that there for 10 years, to be at a football club of that calibre, to know what it's all about, and it was just the couple of points he made there about being the captain now of the side, the responsibility that he feels he has, not just to himself, but to the rest of the team. I think that's strong, and I think he means it. A lot of captains give you that and don't actually mean it. I feel as if he does.
Did you ever have a captain like that you thought, God, I can just absolutely rely on him for everything? Did you have?
I had a lot of captains, believe it or not. I had Gareth Barry, who led by example rather than being forceful vocally in that sense. At Paul Lambert, at Celtic as well too. I had a number, really good. And strange enough, Neil Lennon, who wasn't the captain, but was vocal, really vocal as well too. So I've had a number of excellent captains who, in their own way, actually were very influential. Sometimes they didn't even realise how influential they were in the dressing room as well too. But I don't think that applies to this man.
Yeah, and it's funny, isn't it? He says he kind of feels responsible, doesn't he, for kind of how they feel as well. That's super important, isn't it? When you've had a bad game, something's gone wrong on the pitch, to sort of have that arm around. But no, actually, you might need also that kick up the...
Absolutely.
To get going again.
Yeah. Well, Patrick mentioned in the interview, by the way, that's the most sycophantic I've heard Patrick in the interview. You know?
Look, he's going to be here in half an hour, so be careful what you say.
I want to be there with him at the time when he's doing this here. When I was the Republic of Ireland manager, he could be ultra critical, particularly if you haven't had a good result. So he sent that. But he was definitely in his place there because it seemed to be at Liverpool training ground.
It was.
And he's had to be quiet. But, so what was the question?
I don't even know.
I don't know.
I was just enjoying that. Look, in terms of Liverpool, though, how impressive has Arne Slot been? You know, everyone talked about this transition from Jurgen Klopp to Arne Slot and how it would work, and it just was so seamless. And he even mentioned it himself. You know, no one's talking about that now because they won the Premier League. And
because he stepped into it, and as you used the word seamless, and that seems to describe it. Yeah. It felt as if, well, yeah, just another manager coming in. It's not like that at all. Absolutely not. Klopp was a fantastic manager. There's no question about it. Managing the sort of maybe get up and go at teams. In came this man here who has had a little look at things, doesn't make too many changes. I think realises pretty quickly that he doesn't want to change things. These boys are really good players. Really good players. That's the first thing you know. And just getting on their side as much as anything else. Actually, the most important thing of all, it's best when you win the football games. That's really great. That's the best time that you can get a camaraderie going. And other than, I think, losing to Nottingham Forest early on, their early run was terrific. So each game was a big lift for him as well, just in his own mind. Listen, I'm getting things right here.
How hard is that as a manager? You know what it's like to come in. You've got to hit the ground running, haven't you?
Absolutely. I remember people saying, I saw a few years ago some young managers coming in and they were first interview they were doing, they saying, we've got a 5-year project, you know. No, you haven't.
5 minute, innit?
You've got a 5-minute project. I don't care what league you're in or what division you're in. You've got a 5-minute project. You've got to get up and running. And I think that was really important for him. Just can you imagine, sort of, I'm not saying for 1 minute about self-doubts, but concerns. If you don't get off and running, particularly a big club like that, people start to compare you with the previous manager. You know, very quickly. Contrast your style, maybe not to the positive, but overall, got the run going. And he was fantastic last year. Absolutely fantastic. And now he's got the opportunity to go again. Spent some money now in the team. And why not? He has earned the right to spend the money.
How worrying is it, though, when you come in and you do all that, you kind of set the bar, haven't you? So what does he do this year? Did it surprise you that he almost had a bit of an overhaul? You know, and did they need that, do you think?
Well, I think that, you know the old motto they say about... to stand still, you've got to go forward, you know?
Yes.
Or did I just make that up?
No, but I like it. I'm going to use it.
Okay. I think I did. And I didn't even get it right. But it doesn't really matter. The most important thing is that I feel that, one, he's had a look at the team. It was fantastic, really great. I suppose it's just disappointment in the Champions League game. Outside that, I think it's really, really excellent. But I think he thinks during the course of the season, I can improve, I can get, and maybe a little bit of competition for places as well. No bad thing at a club like Liverpool.
No, I'd agree with that.
The saga, of course, involving Alexander Isak's future continues to rumble on with no sign of any resolution anytime soon. James, we were hoping, weren't we, to get a glimpse of Isak tonight, but no joy.
He's on the shortlist for the PFA Awards this evening, but we understand that he's not going to attend. He's on the list for the PFA Player of the Year alongside Mohamed Salah, Alexis McAllister, Declan Rice, Cole Palmer and Bruno Fernandes. But if Alexander Isak is to get the award for his 23 Premier League goals last season in a Newcastle shirt, then he won't be there to pick up the award, because we understand he will miss that event. Everybody's asking us every day what's the latest with Alexander Isak. Well, nothing has really changed for 2 and a bit weeks now. Liverpool had that bid turned down, initial bid worth in the region of 100 to 110 million pounds, and it's our understanding that they're only going to return to the table if there's a feeling that Newcastle are willing to negotiate on their value of the player, which we understand is around 150 million pounds. What is so fascinating is that two sides play each other next week at St James's Park. Newcastle's first home match of the season. They take on the Premier League champions Liverpool. Will Alexander Isak be there for that? If so, where will he be sat? What bench will he sat on? We understand that as the days go by, it's becoming more and more unlikely that he does get this move to Liverpool, because Newcastle are in a position whereby right now they only have one fit, recognised striker, and that's William Asula, who's got one Premier League goal, because Callum Wilson has gone out. Alexander Isak's currently training on his own. Newcastle are really struggling to find a replacement for Alexander Isak. They tried to sign Benjamin Sesko. He's gone to Manchester United. Hugo Ekitike has gone to Liverpool. So if they don't feel they can get a replacement who is near the level or can replicate what Alexander Isak has done in a Newcastle shirt, then it seems unlikely they're going to let him go unless Liverpool come in with something close to 150 million pounds.
Well, that's the key point, Carver, isn't it? And as much as the Newcastle owners, the Saudi Arabian owners, will want to save face and keep their pride, now, this is a player that if they do tempt them with 140, 145, it is closer to September the 1st, they won't want to hear these 3 letters, but PSR, that could be a game changer for Newcastle.
Yeah, I mean, I find it surprising if Liverpool did go that high. I don't think we're in an era where, OK, Liverpool are spending, 115 million pounds on a player.
Recruited, 230 million, haven't they, this
Yeah,
summer?
but could I see Liverpool really paying 150 million pounds for Isak? I'm not sure they would go that high for him. The interesting thing about him is, what is he achieving by not playing for Newcastle United? James just said, they have so few options up front. Yeah, he's one of the best strikers in the world. Why not just play for Newcastle? And behind closed doors, keep making it clear that you want to leave the club. Not playing for your club when you're contracted to them just doesn't make sense.
There's two ways of dealing with things, Will, and you look at the way Johan Wissa has behaved at times this summer. Look what Alexander Isak has done, and then you compare that to Abira Eze and Mark Gay at Crystal Palace. And it's my understanding,
by the way, all
those
3
two
players who've led them to trophies and have will be part of
exactly
Colts teams
and there's players that feel a sense of affinity to those sides. I mean, Johan Wissa got his first opportunity in the Premier League through Brentford, had a huge amount of success last season. Alexander Isak wouldn't be the player he is without Eddie Howe and Newcastle, whereas you've got 2 players in the form of Abira Eze and Mark Gay who decided to start for Crystal Palace on Sunday, despite all the intense speculation around their future. Gay kept a clean sheet, Eze should have scored a goal, and it's my understanding with those 2 players as well, they will continue to be as professional as they would be in any other transfer window, regardless of their future, regardless of the situation. You won't see them training on their own. As long as they're Crystal Palace players, they'll act as ambassadors for Crystal Palace and continue to give their utmost for the club. Yeah,
well, look, speaking on Sky Sports Fan Club earlier today, Jamie O'Hara said that he has sympathy for Alexander Isak.
I understand it doesn't look great for a player, who's kicking up a fuss and who wants to get out. There's been promises made, right? One to Wissa about, being able to move on, and, to Isak, whether that was a gentleman's agreement, a handshake, whatever it is. They've gone back on that, and now they're trying to hold their players to ransom. What I would say is, there's always going to be Newcastle, right? They're going to be around forever. Brentford are going to be around forever. As a player, you get one chance in a career. You get one career. You've got to try and get the max out of it as you can. If there's an opportunity for you to go and better yourself and go and play for Liverpool or, Wissa's at Brentford, he goes to a massive club like Newcastle, you're crying at that opportunity to say, give me that opportunity, I want to go. And when a club's, holding you to ransom and saying they want 150 million or, they want 60 million pound for Wissa, come on, guys, let's be realistic. Because when the club wants to get rid of you, Tom, and I've had this, and every player knows this, every single player goes through this. When the club want you out and you've got time left in your contract, they want to push you out the door. They want to shove you out the door and say, go on, move on, thanks for coming, we're off now, we don't want you. Oh, fans, he's got to leave, he should be gone. Right, but when you want to leave and when you want to better yourself and have a chance of going to a massive football club, when you've got one career and it don't last long at the top, you're not allowed to do that. There's no loyalty in football.